Composting. Dear Principal Collins, as president of the Truman Middle School Beautification Club, I am very concerned about the environment. I realize that some of my past ideas about making the school more eco-friendly may have been viewed as a little extreme by some and unrealistic by others. Although I still believe wholeheartedly that you should find space in the budget to replace our school's toilets with low-flow, water-saving ones. However, our club has a simple, low-cost, environmentally friendly idea that will pay for itself in just a few months. Paragraph 2. When you hear the word composting, the first thing that probably comes to your mind is a distinct odor, a cross between rotting banana peels and old coffee grounds. And yes, if not properly maintained, a compost pile can smell bad and attract pests. In fact, compost piles can develop a variety of problems, but in most cases, the causes and solutions can be identified easily. Please refer to the table I've included. If tended to regularly, a compost pile can transform food scraps and other organic materials into wonderfully fresh, nutrient-filled dirt. So some of the things that are being said there is that, yes, there are some problems, like compost can smell bad, and those problems do have solutions. So they're telling the principal that the solutions can be easily solved, and from there you'll get that nutrient filtered. And then the table, let's read the table. What some of the problems are: the bad odor. What's a possible cause? Maybe there's not enough air, too much green material, or it's too wet. So what's the solution? How can we solve that? By mixing the pile, adding more brown material, use less water. Another problem: breaking down materials too slowly. Well, what's the cause? Why is this happening? Not moist enough. What can you do? Add water, mix the pile. Another problem: if it's attracting flies or other pests, then a possible cause is that the improper materials are added. Solution: use the right types of food scraps, or maybe add a lid. Another problem: it's not warm enough. Well, then maybe it has too much brown material. We need to add more green material to fix that problem. Another problem: warm only in the center. The pile is too small, and that's the cause. The pile is too small, and the solution could be that we need to mix more composted materials into the pile. All right, so let's go back. Teacher's going to give the main idea of paragraph 2. The main idea is that although composting can cause problems, there are easy solutions to them, and you will get dirt that is fresh and filled with nutrients. So we would write that down as the main idea. Let's move on to paragraph 3. Again, I'm in charge of paragraph 3 main idea. Let's read and then we'll recite. As I'm sure you know, composting turns kitchen and yard waste into something usable once it is added to soil. A chemical reaction happens when things like grass clippings, orange peels, and newspapers are layered in a certain way. When these materials break down, the resulting substance is compost. Our club created the diagram below, and pending your approval, we'd enlarge the diagram and post it in the cafeteria. So the diagram has the brown waste, which is wood and dried leaves, the green waste, which would be grass and food scraps. Then we need to add water and air, and that's how the compost is created. And then the next step, organisms break down the material, and the final step, nutrient-rich compost is produced. So I'm going to go ahead and recite the main idea, going back to paragraph 3. The main idea is that, so it's talking about kitchen scraps and yard waste. So I would say that the main idea is that kitchen scraps and yard waste, what do? Break down, and this results in compost. So the kitchen scraps and yard waste, they break down, and what happens? Results in compost. So now in partners, go ahead and get together with your partner and you're going to read paragraph 4. And we're going to read it together and then you will recite what you think your main idea is. So here we go. Paragraph 4. Composting has a surprising variety of benefits for the soil, but the positive effects of composting go well beyond that. When compost is made, trash in landfills is reduced. This is important because landfills and garbage dumps have limited space, but the amount of trash we throw out continues to expand. That means it continues to grow. According to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, homes and businesses add about 31 million tons of garbage to landfills each year. If our school implements our composting idea, we could send less trash to the landfills. If students see us composting at school, they will want to start a compost pile at home as well, further reducing the waste in landfills. So with your partners, go ahead and identify the main idea, the topic of the paragraph, and what about it. So at this time, I would give my students time to go back, read, and discuss with their partners. Maybe give them a time limit, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes tops, and then they would come back and respond something around the area of the main idea of paragraph 4 is that composting, what does it do? It reduces waste. So that's the main idea of that paragraph. And I could ask them, why did you come up with that? And they could point out that they keep repeating the word trash, garbage, landfills, trash again, landfills again, and then they're talking about reducing the waste in the landfills. So I would ask them for evidence to go back and show me why they chose that as a main idea. And some of the strategies that I use are check marks, or they can either check mark or underline the words that are being repeated. Paragraph 5. Okay, boys and girls, so now we're going to read paragraph 5. That was very good. And again, with your partner, this is a little bit shorter paragraph. After we read, you will recite, you will come up with a main idea. Composting would also give us the opportunity to create something useful, rich soil for growing plants and vegetables. We wouldn't have to purchase fertilizer anymore for the plants on our school grounds to grow healthy and strong. Instead, the Truman Beautification Club and could produce compost and then use it in our vegetable gardens, flower beds, and around our trees. So I would give them time to work in partner. If there are words in this paragraph that they might not know, they always have their dictionary handy and they can always go and look up any words that they don't know. So I would give them, again, 1.5, 2 minutes tops to come up with a main idea. And a main idea that they could come up with for paragraph 5 is, the main idea is that compost creates soil that could be used in many ways at their school. So whenever there's a list, that could be evidence of them letting me know how did they come up with that main idea. Well, because there's a list of many things, so I allow them to say that could benefit or be of benefit from the soil that is created. So that was great, boys and girls. So now you're going to come up with a main idea on your own for paragraph 6 and paragraph 7. So paragraph 6, let's read, and then we'll recite. Composting could be very economical for the school. And when you consider that expenses on ground maintenance and trash disposal would decrease, the savings generated by composting could be spent on other resources such as books and technology, or even low-flow toilets. So on this part, I would give them maybe a little bit over 2 minutes since they are working on their own. And I do see some words that I know that they're going to probably go look up, like the word economical. So I would let them go look up that word economical. Maybe the word maintenance, they might go and look that up. And I would give them a little bit more time for this paragraph just for those reasons. And then when they're ready, I would have them write the main idea, and I would go around and check everybody's to see if they were on the right direction. If I would see that maybe some of them are not on the right direction, then I would sit with them and try to point them out or guide them to a better main idea, coming up with a better main idea, or clarify things that they might not know or understand, especially the vocabulary from this paragraph. So the main idea that I would accept, or anything around this area of main idea of paragraph 6, is that composting helps the school save money. So anything around that area that composting helps save money, helps the school save money, is beneficial because of it's economical, or there would be less expenses for the school. I would also accept things like it saves money. Composting saves money. And then some of them might go on to give me a detail, because that's a big problem that I see. If they do give me a detail, then I would point out that's a detail. Why is it a detail? Tell me about details. What have we discussed about details? And then try to make them answer that details might only come out once. So main ideas is the overall or the general topic of the paragraph. And then we would move on to paragraph 7. Paragraph 7, they're going to come up with a main idea again on their own. Ms. Wilson, the cafeteria manager, supports the idea of composting because she sees just how much food is wasted every day. According to research, much of a school's trash is made up of organic waste. This is a lot of pizza crust that could be making compost. Students eating in the cafeteria could be encouraged to compost with easy to understand signs like the ones below that show them what to do with their trash. So again, I would give them a little more over than 2 minutes because they're working on their own. Give them time to show strategies. Like I said, some of the strategies are we look for words that are being repeated. I let them underline. I let them check mark. I sit with anybody that might be struggling. I check everybody's independent work and stop and help out anybody that I see that is having difficulty. And then one of the main ideas that they could come up with is that composting can teach students not to produce so much waste. So this would teach students not to produce so much waste. Maybe they're going to talk about all the waste that is being produced in the cafeteria. So that trash could be used in the compost. So anything in that area I would accept. I like to praise my students and tell them what a good job. Or if they struggled on paragraph 6 and they do better on paragraph 7, then I let them know that they did better, that they are getting the hang of it. On paragraphs 8, 9, and 10, I wouldn't ask for them to show the main ideas, but if they feel like they can do them, then I would allow them to do them. I wouldn't limit them. So now we're going to finish reading the article, paragraphs 8, 9, and 10. We could also strengthen our sense of community if we involve parents, grandparents, and neighbors in our efforts. They could add items to the compost pile. Master gardeners and local businesses could donate their time or supplies.